Hey, 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 hey. Hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Guess what it is? It's how to come out on top. What the yabba dabba do to do next and other unanswerable questions. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is season 2, episode 7. Oh, yeah. We've got 3 more eps to go in this season, the season 2 of this fabulous show. It's huge. Millions of viewers, millions, billions of viewers even. And just glad you're here. How have you been this week? I hope you've been busy. I have been to the wall. I've done voiceovers. I've been writing scripts. And guess what? Last Friday, we had the Bloomtime Media Shooter Producer course, which was a huge success. So many fabulous, talented people joined. We had some in class, COVID distancing, of course, also some online. It was phenomenal, featuring the extraordinary DOP Andre Evis from Huge Shows. So congratulations to everyone who graduated and welcome to the Bloomtime Media family. I can stalk you now. Look, if you missed out this time, we'll have more workshops, I promise. Bigger, better, more accessible. We're going more with this sort of online offering, so you don't have to go anywhere. Let's just stay safe during this time and make sure we're upskilling. So we're going to be providing you with some super exciting stuff. Now, I don't know if I've introduced myself. My name is Yana Groves, and I produce unscripted content. And I've worked with exceptional people, beautiful talent, presenters, hosts around the world in radio and in television. In the UK, some of my faves are people like Sandy Toksvig, Esther Ranson, Davina McCall, who you might recall. And here in Australia, legends like Kerry Ann Kennelly, Julia Morris, and of course, Pete and Manu, and all the fantastic chefs that we get to watch and drool over on those wonderful shows like MKR and MasterChef, etc. But let's talk high-level talent. In a few moments, I'll be exploring themes such as daddy daycare and how to manage OCD in lockdown. What's behind the mask? And I'll be nattering to one of Australia's most loved personalities. He's the best wingman for any bachelor or bachette. He is the man in front of the mask and one of Australia's most adored faces. He's a host, he's an author, he's a mental health advocate. We'll be talking shortly to Osher Günsberg. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. Do you know how hard it is to nail down somebody so busy and fabulous? Well, he's waiting in the wings. So strap in, 15 minutes till curtain, Miss Piggy. I hope he doesn't mind being called Miss Piggy. It's a Muppets reference. I'm sure he'll get that. Anyway, look, what are we doing here? Well, this is how to come out on top. It's all about bringing the community together for content creators to understand you're not alone. This is a really scary time for all of us. Jobs are being slashed left, right, and center. And sometimes it can feel really, really hopeless. Well, we're here to give you hope. We're here to bring together industry experts, people who really know what they're talking about, to give you a little bit of, foresight, a little bit of confidence to keep doing what you're doing and to keep creating. And it's been working so far. We've heard amazing things. So keep tuning into what we're doing, and especially today. Oh my God, no more sleeps. Okay, it'll be Osher in a minute. But anyway, I've got some breaking news. Jobs. People love to hear about jobs because we need the food, right? Yeah, bread on the table stuff. So, as you know, Australia I Need Crew, professionals and entry level has been amazing. And they are posting various gigs, one of which is producers for the Northern Territory. That's Northern Territory in Australia, guys. If you are in Abu Dhabi, I'm not sure you're going to make it for that gig. But if you're in Australia, especially if you're in the NT, why not? It's going to be an adventure series. So that's for producers. By the way, get your shooter producer qualification, or at least get some experience, practice with your camera, because I promise you that's what they'll need. ADs and PAs on the Gold Coast for a feature film. Come on, the big stars, the bright lights, the big city. Warner Brothers are looking for a shooter producer in Brizzy and in Adelaide. Eureka are looking for an art assistant in Brisbane. What else have we got? Oh, yes, there's a drama series looking for a set nurse and production runner in Sydney. So don't sit there on your little tush. Get up there, get your CV out, get creative, keep that career going. Even if it's a role that you wouldn't normally take. These days, you know, we've got to go for what is there for us. So, I want to talk about who we've met so far this season. Oh, and boy, if I was to go back, there would be maybe 20 names to list off. But with this season, we've spoken to Virginia Hodgson. She's a founding mother of Australian TV. We've spoken to Karen Dewey, who is the CEO of Lumi Media. Used to be network executive, now CEO of Lumi Media. We've spoken to Christy Best. She's a sweary canary comedian. Denise Erickson, co-founder of Media Mentors Australia, also from SBS, ABC, Big Cheese, amazing. Jesse and Aaron, founding fathers of Trending Media Australia, doing amazing things in content. And last week it was Andy Trier, who, my God, was on the set of something super secretive and groundbreaking. So we are going to be watching this space for what's happening with him. Now, enough of my babbling. I know you've been waiting. It's time to welcome our very special guest. We've made love together. No, I mean, like, we've made love happen together on the celebrated global phenomenon that is the Bachelor franchise. I'd like to welcome the most fabulous, consummate host, personality, bon vivant raconteur. It's Osher Günsberg, everyone.
The crowd goes wild. Hey, Diana, how are you?
Great. Do you know what? It's not so much fun making that sound with your mouth.
No. And yes, I know I've been a little hard to find, but thankfully I'm now in mandatory isolation, so I ended up having some time to do this.
I have been chasing you around.
I wanted to do this since you first asked me. It's just that I used to be really unemployed, and then people said, "Do you want to do some stuff?" And I said yes, because I remember how scary that was, and I've been saying yes ever since. Sorry. As you should. You have mouths to feed, dagnammit. I do.
Look, I just can't thank you enough for being here today and giving me your time, because everyone wants to hear from you. Everyone wants a little snippet of who this gorgeous guy is. You're so talented. You do amazing things, not only on screen, but you've got your own podcast. You're doing so much. And you're also a mental health advocate. And so you're doing amazing work in entertaining us and educating us and keeping us safe. So
trying to.
Hats off to you. Hats off to you. Tell me what's going on and where are you? Are we allowed to know?
Yes, I'm in Melbourne. I'm in mandatory self-isolation. On day 4 of, I don't know how many days. I'm not saying anything that's not in the news. There was an outbreak on the set of our show, The Masked Singer, season 2. And so we're following all the protocols that the DHHS have put in place. And one of those is that I don't go anywhere. And, I get tested. My test was negative. I'll get tested again on day 11, whenever that is. So in the meantime, I'm no stranger to being away from my family. And when I go on location, like, for example, when we do Bachelor in Paradise in Fiji, I know, I'm quite thankfully tight with the lighting in the art department. So I throw kettlebells and most of my kitchen into the container that goes off on the ship 6 weeks earlier, because I'm celiac and vegan. And so it's just safer if I cook my own food. So I did that again. I knew I was coming down for 3 weeks, but this time I threw in my bicycle and my bike trainer. And so I've just been riding my bike. I've been doing like 50 Ks on the trainer every day, and I'm cooking really yummy curries while I wait for whatever happens next, which is, I don't know. And, it's really, Jana, you talked about mental health earlier. This is really the best exercise in acceptance, because it is so much bigger than me, what's happening right now. It's not got anything to do with any of our ability or any of our experience or anything why this is happening. But it has got, I like to go in a three-stage model of like, accept the things you can't control, act on the things that you can, and then adapt around everything else. And so we have this opportunity, as you mentioned earlier, to act in this space. And what can I do? What's part of my, I can make really nutritious food. I can train every day. I can write. I can work on pitches for the thing that is going to happen next, because this is my development part of the year anyway. We're starting to come into that anyway, which we can talk about later if you like. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. And I'm podcasting a lot. And, ultimately you've really got to remember that, we've got another test in, like I said, on day 11, whenever that is. I can worry about the outcome of that test, but whether I worry or not, the outcome of the test will not be affected. So I'm doing my best to choose not to worry, because there's absolutely nothing that I can do about that.
It's such a funny, strange experience that I think many of us have never been in a situation of adversity like this, where you are literally out of control. And so learning or figuring out where your thresholds are, listening to your body, listening to your mind, listening to your emotions, staying busy, being kind to yourself, all of those things now become paramount. And I don't know,
action is the only way out of it. Action's the only way out of it. And, I would say to anyone who's watching this, is that I was really unemployed before The Bachelor. Okay. The way I got that job is that I wrote and put together a deck and pitched a dating show. And I pitched it when I was in Australia. I was living in America at the time. I pitched it when I was in Australia to Network 10, who bought it in the room. And I said, look, I want to do a dating show. I think dating's got to come back on TV. I think it's the right time. Here's the show. It's in studio. I want to be down here for about 10 weeks, shoot around the middle of the year. And we went into pre-production on that show. About 6 weeks later, they called and said, we just got the rights to The Bachelor. I know you're working on this other dating show as the host. Would you like to host this one? And I said, yes, I do. and look where you are now. Look what's happened. You are. Someone's buzzing at my door. Can you give me just a second?
Yeah, go get it. I love
Could
it.
be something really important. Hold the fort.
It's live. I'll just dance while we're waiting for Osher. Look at that. Look at this empty space here. Oh, other way. Look at this empty space.
I can't let you
Died.
But if you dial 300,
this is live. You see, now Lucky, he was just about to give his number away. And see, I just spoke over that. See how I did that? Consummate professional I am.
Sorry. I can't leave the door. I can't leave the house. So in order to get things to eat, they need to bring things to me. Anyway, sorry about that. So I guess what I was trying to say is that this opportunity, this time when nothing's happening, this is a time, the only way to get work is to create work. That is the only way. You have to, work begets work. And if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And so that phase in my life when I was in my, pitching, developing mode, I was pitching, developing all the time. But what it meant was that by the time it came for the people who were looking for somebody, I was top of their mind.
Yeah,
And
100%.
that's what this time is able. We can do that right now. We can do it every day, and we can treat it like a job. And that's really important.
And that's what I did. I actually cornered myself by starting this Facebook Live or starting this live stream. I cornered myself into a responsibility every week that requires quite a bit of prep, as if you're prepping for a show. It is a show. So it keeps me answerable. It keeps me in a routine. It keeps my brain creative, and it actually makes sure all the other projects are still going.
It works on the fitness. It works on the creative muscle. It works on the, and it's really, really important, because you'll find if you've been unemployed, and we work in a seasonal industry, so we all have. If it's been a while and you've done about 6 weeks of lying around reading a book, and then someone says, "Hey, I've got this job," and you go along, the first few days you're kind of spinning. It's like the first time you get back on the treadmill. You're like, "Whoa, I'll catch up. Don't worry, I'll get there." You forget what it's like to, do 12 hours on comms. You're like, "Whoa," and it's important to keep the plate spinning, to keep it fit. And at this point, we get to do the things that, we love. And that's what you're doing right now. It's great.
What I respect about you, and I was in my massive intro, I was explaining that we work together. And one thing there were several things I really admire about you. We created After Paradise together.
Yes, we did.
So much fun.
Well, it was. And I don't think people, you failed to mention your About Me section. You failed to mention the Jerry Springer experience.
Oh, look at the birdies.
Yeah, I'm dropping the name for you. So if you ever get a chance to make television with someone who made television with Jerry Springer, say yes, because Yana knew exactly the right amount of salt to put on the rice. And it's really, really important at all points to work with someone who has a latitude of experience and a latitude of input that are more than yours, because you get a chance to learn from them. And it was really fun doing that show. And goodness me, people don't know, we pitch it every year. It only every now and again do they say yes to it. We've been pitching it every year since season 1. But only every now and again do they say yes to it.
Well, it was awesome. But also we have been under the Fijian sun.
Oh, the beautiful Fijian sun.
We have been under the Fijian sun and also in the Fijian heat and had the Fijian tummy bugs.
Oh, boy. Yeah. That's you can do all the prep you can and, and everything like that. But look, we live in a very first world country in Australia, and most of the population in this country, not all, but most of the population in this country have access to clean water. We've all done gigs in places. If you've had those kind of gigs where you have to go where there's not clean water, you don't want to deal with the not clean water. It's not good.
I have this image, this stays in my mind, and this is how you're working with a consummate professional, delivering a very serious theme. Very serious, important, against the clock. And delivering that final word that needed to be said.
Yep.
And then dashing off. But literally, to know that you could stand, because I knew that you had been lying down for most of the day. You had to.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's going to go. But you managed to deliver it. And this is what I love about you. You are professional through and through. You entertain millions of people, millions. And this is what I find phenomenal.
It helps to have, having I've been diagnosed with, elements of obsessive compulsive disorder. I've got a bit of a different brain, and there's parts of that can be have very negative impacts in my life. But then there's parts of that have incredibly positive impacts in my life. Like the other day, I've got this bike trainer here, like I said, and the other day the day before I went, I'm going to do 100 miles tomorrow. It's 160 Ks. It's about 4 hours and 45 minutes. Okay. And once I have that, once I've incepted myself, I just won't stop until it's done, and there's really nothing, there's no thoughts, no automatic thoughts that will come in and ask me to stop or not do it or give up now. It just doesn't happen. And that's the same with work. Like that particular night you're talking about, I think it was a rose ceremony or something. And I was, I had the classic travel, weird amoebic, rainwater issue in my drinking water. And I was exploding from every end. All right. But my brain was able to tell my I can't remember the subconscious nervous system. I can't remember whatever it was, not the autonomic nervous system, the other one. I can't remember. Just to go, okay, hold this for about another 3 minutes, and then everything's fine. But
I could see
hold this for 3 minutes.
I could see the minutes.
Oh,
and it was that
and
close.
Then it was like, okay, it's done. Great. And then my brain went, release. So it can be really handy, and I'm very lucky, and I think my career has a bit to say thank you for that robotic kind of brain response. That if I decide that I'm going to do something, write this pitch, create this format, learn these words, whatever it is, edit this thing, I just don't stop until it's done. And that was fine when I lived alone, but now that I've got my wonderful family with me, I have had to learn to reel it in, particularly when working from home. And, the podcast is a big part of my life now. When working from home, I have to have that boundary because, and this can't be ever overstated. This cannot be overstated. You absolutely have to have the non-related input into your life for your subconscious to then bounce off of when it comes to your creativity moments. All right. If you are doing nothing but work, you basically pull all the spices out of the cupboard and there's nothing to go back to make it taste a little different. But if you then go out, well, you can't in Melbourne, but if you take the dog for a walk or do some push-ups or read a book or watch something you'd never watch or have a conversation with a friend in another country or whatever, it's those things that then go hide away in your subconscious, and then they wait around, and then your ideas bounce around off them, and you wake up in the morning and you go, aha. And what's creativity? It's just two ideas that haven't been put together before in a third version, right? And then your brain just goes, all right, boom, and there it is. So it's really important that you feed your subconscious with non-related input, and it's vital, in fact. And so having that boundary between work and family at home has, it's still something I struggle with, but I find that when I do lock myself into that, I can get a bit dry and a bit same when I'm podcasting and stuff like that. But if I have enough other stuff to bounce off, the podcasts get more rich and more vibrant.
Well, it's also about balance. And as you were saying, you need to be able to take in what's happening around you. We're storytellers. And as storytellers, you've got to experience the world to present the world. Truly.
It can't be understated. It's very, very important. So if you were looking for an excuse to not train or not eat good food or not taste something different, or, if you want to be better at your job, eat something you've never tasted before. That's it. You just got to challenge. You've got to get those neural pathways growing in different directions, because then once they're built and an idea will come in, it'll take that right turn and you'll come up with an idea that you've never come up with before. And that's really important.
In your book, Back After the Break, you talk, I think a lot of the work you do is, of course, beautiful and gorgeous and entertaining, but you do some serious work in terms of talking about your mental health journey and what you've experienced in the limelight. And it's not been easy over the years.
Look, I chose a career in, the public eye. So, I knew what I was in for. There have been challenges, but there's really nothing, no special snowflake here. It's exactly the same story that you've seen a jillion times, younger bloke.
About it.
This is true, but there's nothing fancy about it. It's young. You know how the story ends. The story's been a billion times. Bloke gets on telly, makes some money, drinks a lot, whole thing explodes. It's not the first or last time we'll hear that story. I guess I was fortunate in that I was lucky enough to have had the chance to learn from that. Triumph and defeat they really are as likely to happen as each other. It's the flip of a coin, triumph and defeat. However, you don't learn anything from triumph. Thankfully, I did learn a lot from the defeat of, ending up, having to get sober, divorced, unemployed, lost the house, lost the money, everything. Thankfully, I was able to learn from that and put it all back together in a different way. And that's really important. And it's, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for every one of those obstacles that happened, Yana, because it allowed me, as my guy says, he says, hey man, you get it. You now have the chance to live the rest of your life not being that guy. And it has allowed me to understand a lot more about myself, a lot more about my industry, and allowed me to become way more focused. And I'd like to think better at what I do because of the things that went awfully wrong because of the choices that I made. And I would hope that everyone can, understand what I'm saying,
And you're now, I that's why I have such massive respect for you, not only because of your professionalism, but to overcome adversity and to turn it into something that really works for you, and to use your platform as somebody who speaks out. Can actually put you in the position of saving lives. It can be so poignant and so important.
I'm just trying to give back what was given to me, Yana. That's it. When I was still drinking and I knew I needed to get sober, I couldn't imagine what life could have been like without alcohol. Similarly, when I was ill and kind of crazy, I didn't know what life could ever be any different, and what it might feel like to think about things differently, because I couldn't actually picture it in my head. It was, and I've said this before, but it was like if I asked you and your husband, come over to the house, Audrey, by the way, she says hi. If I said, come over and have dinner with me and Audrey, but I'm going to put blindfolds on both of you. And then when you get to my house, I'll take the blindfolds off once you're inside. Then I'll say, okay, Yana, describe to me the colors of the cars parked on the street. Like, you would know that there would be cars on the street and you'd have a fair idea that there would be different colors, but you just can't actually picture that. Yeah. So similarly, I couldn't picture what life could be like without alcohol. I couldn't picture what life could be like if I was ever better. But I was hearing stories of other people who were where I was and were now where I wanted to be, that, okay, well, it clearly is possible. I just have to do what they tell me to do and just trust that it will end up there. And I did, and it did. That's why that's where my sharing comes from. I'm just trying to give back what was given to me.
And that's the best thing we can do. That's the best thing we can do. And, I'm very pleased to say that that you are a Bloomtime Media mentor in my eyes. We have, we have 40 plus people who are giving back, and it's working. It's so important to have people who can share their experiences and talk on platforms like this, which, by the way, the time goes super quickly because it's 1:30 already. You see?
Oh, we were on for half an hour, were we?
Were you settling in for an hour? I love it.
I'll do whatever. I'll do a 2-hour podcast and I don't give a shit. It's great.
Yeah. He's here to chat. Look, I just want to talk as well about your podcast. So tell me about your podcast, Better Than Yesterday.
Well, I've got 2 podcasts at the moment. So, but Better Than Yesterday is the one that I've been doing for the longest. Episode 351, I think, went out this week. And, like anything, it's just something that I do every week. And if you just do it every week, you challenge yourself to do it, much like how you started this stream. When I started my podcast, I asked my first guest, a great Australian broadcaster by the name of Scott Dooley, hey, Dills, you want to come on podcast? Yeah, sure, man. It's Tuesday, all right? Tuesday's fine. This was on a Thursday. He didn't know that I didn't have a podcast. He didn't know that I had no microphones. He didn't know that I didn't have a sound card on. I do the podcast every week, and you just end up building. It's 8 years now we've been running. Every Monday and Friday, I do the show. And I have another podcast that I do with Charlie Clausen called Dad Pod, season 2 on the way. And I really enjoy it. It's a conversation It's the interviews I always wanted to do and the conversations I always wanted to have when I worked in radio. It's an extraordinary format. I love the medium. The kind of conversations could only happen in that medium. It's a very intimate form of broadcasting. I really enjoy it. Despite what you may have seen in various incredibly steeped in irony, tongue-in-cheek comedy sketches, I believe everyone should start a podcast. Not a lot of people understood that was the joke, but never mind.
I have to explain because, not everybody's in Australia. Not everybody's seen that little sketch.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so Osher and a few other celebrity faces did a little skit on Please Don't Do a Podcast.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you're in ISO. Don't start a podcast, mate. It's the last thing we need. But yeah, it's okay. It's fine. But yeah, when you double down on irony, it's a bit far. It's a bit far for some people to perceive. I don't give a shit. I really don't care. I think everyone should start a podcast. If you've got something to say, you should do it. And I don't care if you have 3 people listening. Before I got my job at Channel V, which is a now defunct cable television channel, I had a high 8 camera. It wasn't even a high 8 camera. It was a video 8 camera. And I ran around filming myself all the time, learning how to present, learning how to what looks good, what sounds good, how do I create a sentence and say what I need to say in less than 8 words. I'd learned that stuff from radio, but then how do I do it on camera? Practice. Now you can start yourself a streaming channel or start yourself a podcast and you just do it every week. Practice.
You should see my first one.
Yeah, that's the secret to success is being prepared to be shit for a while.
Yeah, and I was into
got to do it better. Because defeat is a better teacher than triumph.
Wow, defeat is I like that. I like that a lot.
It's true. It's absolutely true. If you do it great the first time, you don't learn. If it falls into a crumpled heap, you're like, oh my God, how can I not ever let that happen again? You never make that mistake again. When defeats show up, be grateful for them because that's a great moment here. I'll now hopefully avoid this again in the future, and I've just learned a new way to do something.
It's the learnings. It's all about speaking of learnings, I have a few comments from beautiful people, and I just want to give a shout out while you're here. Hello, Annalise. She's saying hi. Hello, hi. Deb. Lovely to see you. Now, somebody called Dee, who is a dance instructor, her 2 daughters watching and smiling at the camera, smiling at the screen at you. They're mega fans. Can you say hi to them?
Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Oh, that's so sweet. Also, Dion, great to see you here.
Hey, Dion.
Rob Brown is saying, hi, Osh.
G'day, Rob.
G'day, Rob. G'day, mate. And many more. We could go on for hours. But, I personally want to say good day to you because you are here in my heart.
Oh,
and I love working with you and hope we're going to do some amazing things in the future.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, don't you worry. That thing that I was talking to you about, that's the thing I'm working on. So, yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. We all have a thing. I've got 2 things I'm working on. 2 things I'm working on, but the other thing is actually going to be really good. But, yeah. Because, I know I said this before, but I'll leave you with this. It might seem like I'm on telly all the time. I kind of break it. How do I break it down? Like a 50, 30, no, 50, 20, 20, 10 kind of role in my time. Okay. So 50% of the time is the thing that is, this is a job right now. This is the one that's paying the mortgage. This is it. But unless you host the news, every single show in the history of television has been cancelled. So one day, I don't care how big your show is. I don't care how big your show is and how many ratings you've got. One of these days, it's not going to get renewed. You got to be ready for that day. And if you're not ready for that day, it's on you. So like 20% of the time I'm working on like podcast stuff. The other 20 I'm working on next year. And the other 10 I'm working on 5 years. And slowly they move up in order. And then new projects start up in the 10%. They move into the 20. They move on to the other 20. And now they're in the 50. And you've got to make sure that your time is segregated like that. You absolutely have to, because we work in a seasonal industry, and if you're not ready for when the gig isn't there, that's on you. All right. You have full control as to how prepared you are for when the job's not there. If the job's not there and you're saying like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's like, well, did you have a show ready to pitch? Have you got your reel together? Do people know that what you can do? If they don't, nobody's fault but you, mate. No one's going to come and knock on your door and ask you to be a TV star.
Doesn't happen. Yeah, it doesn't actually happen. You have to do the work. You have to do the work.
You've got to be ready. You've got to create it.
Cringe-worthy. You got to get over yourself, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You got to create it. You've absolutely got to create it. And you've got to segregate that time. People only see the 50% and the 20% podcast stuff. They don't see the other stuff. But they know about it, because that's what happens in next year, and it happens the year after.
That's right. Yeah. So I hope you've all been listening. Some amazing things are about to happen. So keep your eyes open. Could be next month. Could be next year. Could be in 5 years. And you'll say you heard it first.
Yeah, we may learn so much for the fact that they said no to the pitch. We then go and create the other thing that becomes the hit.
Right. And do you promise that you'll come on again and we'll retrospectively look at this conversation and gladly say, that's why we did it?
Yeah, of course. Whatever you need.
Yeah, whatever you want.
At your service. At your service. Whatever. I'm in isolation. I'm not doing anything. So.
Oh my God. Look. We are so grateful, and the comments are flooding in saying thank you so much for taking the time out. I mean, of course, I wouldn't want to see you in lockdown. Nobody wants to know that you're tied into one space, but we're benefiting. It's a benefit to us and how to come out on top. Thank you so much.
And I will just say this. I know there are people working on sets right now and whatever. And bear in mind, our safety protocols were absolutely top notch, completely top notch. There's army on the streets here in Melbourne. All right. Wherever you are watching this in the world, wear a mask, wash your hands, keep your distance, wash your groceries. There's outside clothes, there's inside clothes. This is an extraordinarily infectious disease that will leave you with permanent damage around the muscle of your heart, scarring in your lungs, whatever. Don't mess around with it. You're your own on-set safety officer. You're the one that says, no, you shouldn't be standing there. All right. Normally there's someone who goes, yeah, no, we're moving some rigging. Can you move to the left? You have to be that person for yourself. And if something doesn't feel right, say something, because you're protecting everyone on the crew. Okay. Yep.
Well said, Osher. Well said.
No worries.
I'm going to say namaste to you and thank you and big, big blessings.
Namaste to you too. All right. Take care, Yana. Good to see you, man.
You have to say namaste in this room for another 2 weeks.
Now I'm staying in this room until I get my second COVID test.
We're full of comedy here tonight, folks.
I'm a dad now. I'm in Pun Town. It's fine.
We adore you. Thank you so much for your time. Wonderful, Osher Günsberg.
Good to see you, Yana. You got it. Love.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, my friend. Bye. What a guy. Yeah, that's Osher Günsberg. He is a TV host. He is an author. He is just super clever. And I like the way he thinks. And I like the cut of his jib. Anyway, thank you for your lovely, lovely, lovely comments. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody. As you can see, we've run over time anyway, but it was bloody worth it. So, guys, what to do next, right? Be prepared. As Osher says, be prepared, be informed. And you've heard me say this before. God, I'm getting emotional. Look at that. Upskill, upskill, upskill. We have new workshops to be announced. I'm not going to announce them yet because I've got something really big boiling. And I hope you'll enjoy what it is. Thank you for watching How to Come Out on Top. I just want to say very quickly, we've had a very important message from Geraldine Orrock, executive producer of massive shows like The Voice, etc., and hundreds of others. She is now working for Beach House Pictures in Singapore, and she's ready to take your CVs and your questions because she actually apologizes. She says, I'm so sorry I can't be there, but in return, send me your CV. That's Geri at beachhousepictures.com in Singapore. They make global content. Okay? So get your CV in. Like Osher said, you will not get noticed if you're not out there to be noticed. Anyway, next week, get your knives and forks sharpened because I'm going to be taking a bite out of celebrity chef Colin Fassnidge, star of MKR, Irish cheeky chappy, and all-round fabulous bloke. He'll be here next week, which happens, and as you know, this happens every week. It'll be Wednesday. Get yourself in gear. Have a story to tell next time you see me. Okay? Thank you. Thank you so much for all of you for writing your comments. Get in touch, bloomtimemedia.com or info@bloomtimemedia. Check out the YouTube channel, which I think we're going live on, which is Bloomtime Media. And thank you so much again to Osher Günsberg, Tara Johnson, Bloomtime Media Production Assistant, and our supporters who keep coming back and back and back. Thank you, family and friends, great friends from all around the world. Keep listening, stay positive, keep smiling, and just know you're fabulous. Stand out and be outstanding. Goodbye.